level of control. And I remember when you got to like Ireland or Scotland or whatever it was that it had in it, it wanted you to do these areas where it was like, okay, we're going to have you do this, and you need to do it in, like, let's say 2 minutes. And I remember doing it perfect, absolutely perfect, and still only being able to get it in like a minute 58. And that was after doing it like 35 tries. So I wasn't having fun with it because it was just too hard for how good the game was, because I didn't find it that fun. And I understand, it can always be great, and it depends on what you're into. Some people love Gran Turismo. Some people want, something like Burnout. It's all preference, but
that was a very impressive battle.
I just didn't like it.
Well done.
Based on the battle data you provided, I was able to generate a new virtual combat trial.
Yeah, and Enzo, thank you for coming in. Been great just doing more of this game and just having general fun. And really, really happy to, be playing this again. This game's been fantastic through and through. What is this little orange spot? Oh, it's the mushroom. But yeah, it's been a great time. Okay, looks like I need to do this area. I'm just trying to overall get pretty much everything done in this area before moving on to Junin or Junion. Let's see, I might as well do... Yeah, I might as well do these swamp areas. Yeah, my favorite Need for Speed by far is still Most Wanted from 2005. It's just a fantastic game through and through. I really don't feel like it has any flaws whatsoever. And I really wish they had stuck with that as the style. Though I think those games that I'm referring to were made by EA Tiburon, and as far as I know, and then also EA Black Box, but I think both of those teams don't exist anymore. And I think Tiburon and Black Box are the same company, just different names for it, or at least they shared a lot of the same team. Yeah, it was still great, It was a great time in video games, and I would love to see them just port those or do a game just like it. Like, same style of physics, same sort of thing, just, much more of the same. And welcome in, Retro Toaster. Thank you for coming in. Let's see. I'm trying to remember how you get through here. I had trouble with this the first time. Oh, yeah, it was... How did I get through here? Did I go through the river? I can't remember. Yeah, it was going through the river. Yeah, how's it been for you, Retro Toaster, there? What you been up to today? The thing I have heard, I have heard really good things about Need for Speed Nitro, which I did not even know Need for Speed Nitro existed until probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I've heard really, really good things about that.
The grasslands are home to Titan sanctuaries. In the Age of Myths, when Titan rose from his subterranean prison, he created a massive earthquake. Thus did a vast
Yeah, I've got a copy of
wonderland
Nitro.
rise from the sea, becoming the grasslands.
You just woke up, slept the longest you've slept in a long time. Hope that I'm doing well. Yes. I don't know why, but after stream last night, I had massive insomnia and was up till like 6:40 a.m. But you know, I'm doing good after that. It has been killed with fire extremely slowly. I'm sorry, if that legitimately annoys you, I can make it, you know, less common. But, you know, I found it greatly amusing. I've always thought it was one of the cheesiest things. Time to play the Hatsune Miku Project Diva thing. I did add a new reward, or a redeem, I guess. I added it right before stream, but I have yet to stick in any new emotes or anything.
That was incredible. It was as if you and the crystal were actually communicating with one another.
Yes, Giga Chadley. I feel like I should make some sort of Photoshop of Giga Chadley. Like, just put Chadley's face onto that black and white picture that everybody, you know, called the Giga Chad. I think that would be hilarious. I could absolutely Photoshop that. Let me make a note to Photoshop Giga Chadley. Let's see here. Okay, Photoshopping Giga Chadley has been added to the list of things to do. And what is Domino Pizza? I don't think I've heard that particular one. I see you down there, Mr. Orange. Are you going to... Okay, he's using the Dreamcast as a pillow again. Yeah, he has decided to lay down there to the left of me on the floor. I already picked him up once, so I'm not going to bother disturbing him, but he's down there. And he's starting to fall asleep. Okay. Is she here? Is there any others? What is that? Okay. Might as well. Get on here. So Domino's Pizza made a crossover with them. First they made the Noid, then they made a Hatsune Miku crossover. What will Domino's think of next? I mean, there was an official Final Fantasy IX Coca-Cola commercial. Come on. Fit up the staircase. Come on. Come on. Come on. Rotate. Rotate. Rotate slightly. Go up the staircase. Come on. There we go. It is not easy getting a chocobo to go up a staircase. Did you ever see the Final Fantasy IX Coca-Cola commercial? So 100% an area is hard as one of the combat missions is hard to do. You have to do a move so many times to kill something. I had to look up how to do it. Okay. Is that something that I'm about to do, or something in this area you're referring to? Found Beastman bangle. So let's see what the Beastman bangle is. Let's see. Also, I know I was gifted another one. Let me see. Owl Bracer. Good defense. How come I keep getting all these ones with like... keep getting all these ones that have good magic defense, but crappy physical. I mean, that's not that big of a drop. So let's see here. I think I'm gonna go for it. Tifa could probably use that. Let's see here. I think these are just not something I don't think they fit my style. Seriously? Look at this tiny little fence it won't jump over.
Won't take long. Let's finish this. Let's go.
Yeah, Chadley, I'm trying to do the, summon things because I know the summons are really good, but at the same time I've been unable to beat any of the summons inside his VR headset thing. And Zell, did you ever play that Yo Noid game that was on the NES? Or, has anybody played the Yo Noid game? Because the Noid game was ridiculous. It's not that great of a platformer, but it was one of those things of like, wait, Domino's made a ridiculous mascot and bothered to make an NES game out of that ridiculous mascot. Just why? I think if I remember correctly, it's actually made by Capcom. It's not great, but yeah, it's not a horrible game. So I've only got 7 things left. Yeah, if anybody else has played that game is jank as hell. I actually have the Burger King 360 games in the closet, and you know, I know Retro Toaster and Hallian. I know Hallian, I think, went into lurk mode. Have heard, you know, Kyle talk about how they're like, "Oh, this game sucks." I love how ridiculous Sneak King is. A natural passage of the mountains between Junion and the grasslands, this mine has long served as a rich source of mithril and mineral. The mineral boasts an exquisite shimmer and remarkable strength, and was historically used to fashion the very finest of weapon and armor, but it fell out of favor after Shinra developed superior synthetic materials. After the mine was closed, the Republic of Junion converted it into a tunnel for the general public, allowing travel to and from the grasslands. The glistening mithril deposits drew regular sightseers and tourists as well. Following Shinra's triumph over the Republic, however, the tunnel has been effectively abandoned. Various sections have fallen into disrepair, and the depths are host to untold dangers. Yeah, I've actually never played that ET game, but I know, I know how it works. I've never bothered to play it though. Can I get through this gate? Okay. The Burger King games were actually good, considering them for only a few dollars with the Burger King combo meal. Yes. So, I remember back when they were brand new, me and one of my friends going to Burger King and going, "Hey, do you have any of those games in stock?" And they go, "Wait, you actually want them?" And going, yeah, Sneak King. Sneak King is definitely better than Kyle gives it any credit for. I actually enjoy Sneak King. Sneak King is repetitive. It is ridiculous, but I find it really fun in how ridiculous it is. So I definitely differ on opinion of that game. Oh, it's over here. So yeah, I have all 3 of them, and I think I actually have at least Sneak King sealed, if not all of them. Yeah, it's not bad. It's just, it is shallow. It's fun, but it's shallow, and it's ridiculous. Now, I will say the worst game I have ever played, and I will stand by that I think this is the worst game I've ever played because it's flawed, was a game called Omicron the Nomad Soul. Or I've heard it was just called Nomad Soul in other countries. That game was awful. And the reason I say that game was awful is that it was shallow in its plot. It had bad controls because it controlled like, you know, Resident Evil 1 through 3, but worse. And it had bad plot because it was like, you, the player of the game, you are inhabiting this body. It is actually your soul that is transferring into your computer or Dreamcast, and you are inhabiting this body. And I was like, okay, you know, I could see that as a somewhat interesting concept. But the issue with it, and why I say it was extremely flawed, is you transfer into that first body and you're like, okay, you know, this is cool, you know, what's going on here? But then once you travel into that first body, you know, you you do a few things, and that body gets killed in fairly dramatic fashion. And from there, there's no plot. None. And it tries to be a first-person shooter. It tries to be a... see, pressure both fire and ice imbued enemies. Stagger them.
Meaning that once you've trespassed on its territory, it can and will track you down in order to exact revenge. The Moo have a massive underground network through which they exchange information on food sources and predators. Frankly, it rivals Chadley's own network. So don't you
Not
even
Chadley's
consider their
network.
adorably twitchy tails and unassuming demeanor. Further analysis of these crafty creatures.
So yeah, it tried to be survival horror in its controls. It tried to be Tekken. It tried to be a first-person shooter. It tried to be a Omicron the Nomad Soul. It's available on Windows 98 and Dreamcast. It's awful. It is the worst game I have ever played in my life. They also do things like they would say like, hey, you need to go from where you are in this shopping mall or whatever, and you need to go to apartment B7 on the road you need to go to apartment B7 on Squirrel Tree Road or something like that. And so the roads aren't labeled. There's no apartment numbers. You can walk in almost every building. All the buildings look the same, and the world is gigantic. It's got that stereotypical brown fog they used to hide crappy draw distance with. Where it would be like super short draw distance and the things would just like pop in as you got closer. Like Silent Hill did that as a plot effect, but a lot of games were just like, oh, it's pollution, yeah, that's why it's got shit draw distance. But yeah, it came out after Resident Evil 2. It looked worse than Resident Evil 2. It came after Tekken. It controlled worse than Tekken. It came after many other hell, I think it came out after Half-Life. And the first-person shooter areas were shit. So, like, there was nothing good about that game. I actually like the controls of the early Resident Evils a lot. But I know they've definitely got their people who don't like them. So you've actually played Omicron the Nomad Soul? I'm sorry. Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, you're like, it was shit. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the Dreamcast version. I really can't. I've never played it. I can't speak for whether it's good or bad, whether it's better or worse than the PC version, but I can say that the Windows 98 version was absolute trash. And yeah, after you're basically summoned by a cop who talks directly to you as the player to try and be like, yes, you need to talk directly to me, and I'm going to allow you to inhabit my body to figure out this crime. And you're like, okay, cool, this sounds interesting. But then it just doesn't go anywhere. You figure out the crime, and the crime is just lame. Like, what you find out is the answer is not interesting. It's not impressive. The story's just bad.
Don't overdo it.
I got this. Come on. Yeah, beat them. Bring it. Come on. Keep it up.
Is this an ice one? Yes, this is an ice one. So yeah, you would like to emulate it.
Though I
It'd be very
suspect
easy to emulate on the Dreamcast. It'd probably be more of a pain in the ass to do on Windows. Though I would debate that it is the better version of a bad game. But ironically, as much as I just said that game is shit, and it's shit, I have 2 copies of it. I have an official Dreamcast copy and an official complete in box Windows copy, because I must own the shittiest game I've ever played. It's bad. You know, I might actually play the Dreamcast or Windows 98 version just because it's horrible. The only redeeming factor about Omicron the Nomad Soul at all is the fact that somehow they got David Bowie to make original music for the game, and he makes a few original songs, and he plays this like weird cyborg musician who is basically just David Bowie, and he performs his own songs in the game, and you can sit there and just watch them. They're like 4 or 5 minutes long, but you can just sit and watch, you know, cyborg David Bowie perform original music that's actually good. But that's the only redeeming factor about that piece of trash. I don't know. I feel like they probably spent like half the budget on David Bowie. But the thing is, I remember playing it and being like, this game is trash. And there used to be this... hell if I remember the name of it, but there used to be a website that you could sign up for, where you could say like, I have this game, I want this game, and you could trade via mail. And in theory, I was saying, you know, I've got Omicron the Nomad Soul, which blows. I'd like to play this new game called The Sims. And somebody actually sent me a message that says, hey, you know, I'll send you The Sims. You send me Omicron the Nomad Soul. And I was 15, 14-ish. And so I was like, yeah, sure. And, you know, I got my mom to get me a money order to, you know, pay for the shipping. And we shipped it over. And it went to them. I got a tracking that it arrived. And I was like, all right, where's my Sims? Hello? Where's my Sims? And no response, no response. I was like, where's my Sims? Where's my Sims? Where's my Sims? And they never, ever sent me a copy of Sims. And so I actually contacted the people at the website, and the website was just like, well, you know, it's all on an honor system, so pretty much go fuck yourself. I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do about that. And I'm just like, what the hell? So, like, website, you're going to pay me money for Omicron the Nomad Soul or for Sims, because I'm out of game, I'm out money, and I got nothing. And then apparently that website was shut down like 9 months later for basically shitloads of people complaining about that exact same problem. But so my childhood copy of Omicron is gone. But I did end up getting another copy of that game. It's trash. But yeah, it was just a scammer. And so yeah, I ended up getting... I've actually never played Sims 1, but I ended up getting Sims 2 and playing an absolute... No, I never got any money back from it. I was screwed. The company folded. There's nobody even left to sue. I as a little kid didn't know, you know, like, oh, I could possibly send the police to this person's house or anything like that. You know, I didn't know what to do, and I just gave up.
Better not let your guard down.
Rare grasslands wolf variant identified. Commencing guidance protocol. See the way that its mane stands on end? The electricity coursing through its body and keeping its hair upright is the product of overexposure to Monco. This has also contributed to a significant increase in aggression, agility, and speed. In fact, eyewitnesses report that it is capable of catching prey with lightning quickness. By studying this predator's hunting habits, perhaps we too will be able to develop swifter, more efficient ways of felling fiends. Now hurry and collect our data before
I gotta say,
gets the best
I know my, which I forget what the acronym stands for it. I know my is a computer program created by Chadley, but it really just feels like gender bent Chadley and is infinitely a better character. Is cuter, more fun, better delivery. Yeah, I'd much rather be dealing with this than Chadley. Though I do want to Photoshop Giga Chadley. I don't know if I have any detrimental status effects.
All set. Victory is all very late. Gotcha. Bring it. You're up.
Yeah, and I'll definitely read what you said after I kill these. Yep, killed it. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, made a waifu, but yeah, it basically is just the better version. So let's see here. The Sims 1 is possible to get working on modern hardware, but it's best to play it on an old PC. The console version is completely different compared to the PC version. Absolutely.
Wow! I see that you completed that challenge with grace and panache.
Don't you know it's rude to interrupt?
Why? I didn't know such
Yeah, I
thing.
miss pressuring it.
In any case,
I'm not
Cloud,
too sure how because I don't really have the
constructed a
I don't have the
virtual
thing.
combat trial. I hope it's to your liking.
I don't have much detrimental effects, so I kind of don't care. I got it killed enough. I'm not truly trying to completionist this game or anything. I'm just playing it, kind of casually through. If I can do it easily, I'll do it easily, but yeah, I'm not too concerned of the fact that I missed a pressure. But yeah, as far as Sims 1, I have seen plenty of Sims 1. I've seen, and Zelda probably knows this creator. I've seen Call Me Kevin play it. I've seen other people play it, and it doesn't seem like something that in this day and age I'm interested in going back to revisit. Despite the fact that I love Sims 2 and 3 and 4 is pretty good. I don't have much urge to ever really play Sims 1, but if I'd been able to play Sims 1 when Sims 1 was new, absolutely I would have been into it. Yeah, Sims 2 I played an absolute ton of. And I will say that Sims 2 fully upgraded was a fantastic game. But Sims 1, I just feels a little too old and a little too dated and all that. And just, I don't see much reason to play it. But yeah, as far as Sims 2, it was a great game. Sims 3 upon launch was crap. But Sims 3, once it got all its expansion packs, Sims 3, in my opinion, is the best of the Sims games. Once you got every expansion for it. Yeah, because Sims 3 had the wonderful thing about it that you could colorize anything.
According to local legends, Titan possesses earth-shattering strength. He is capable of crushing whole mountains with his fist. Perhaps we have him to thank for the rolling hills and verdant plains that comprise this region of the planet.
Trying to figure out where to go. Yeah, and I've actually done that math that's like, okay, if you had bought every single Sims expansion for, let's just say 4, at full retail, on day 1, you know, no discounts, no bundle packs, no like, you know, oh, here's these 2 packs combined into a mini pack, you'd be out thousands, you know, on just like Sims 4, and you know, you're probably approaching $6 or $7 grand if you had bought every single expansion pack for 1, 2, 3, 4, and like the herbs and that medieval stories, and not even counting, let's just say we're not going to consoles. We're just talking about the stuff that was available on Windows and or Mac. You'd be in the thousands. Still nothing compared to that. I forget what it was called. It was like Train Simulator 2020 or something like that. Like Train Simulator 2020 has ridiculous amounts of, you know, DLC. Like we're talking tens of thousands of dollars. Yes, and I know Herbs and Sims Medieval were standalone games. Herbs was basically, you know, a variation on Sims 2, and Sims Medieval was just Sims 3 with a skin of paint, and SimCity Stories was just, you know, Sims 3 with a skin of paint. And I guess what disappointed me, because yeah, I had no experience with Sims 1. 0. Yeah, the train sim. I would like to play Euro Truck Simulator because it's ridiculous, but I don't have much interest in those train sim games.
That concludes our analysis of the Grassland Summon Crystals. Thank you. Now Titan will become an even more formidable ally. Congratulations. Though you have yet to obtain the requisite materia, as I recall, you'll first need to confront the Divine via the combat simulator.
Let's see, now that I've leveled up and I've got that stuff. So yeah, you're saying that your ex-boyfriend was massively into train sim and bought an extraordinary amount of DLC. So I'm not even sure what game I've spent the most on various DLC or add-ons. It's probably Final Fantasy 14. Final Fantasy 14 did have a promotion where you could get this like little ball that was like this floating, you know, sprite looking thing, and I mean sprite in like the soot sprite sort of way. That was it had like a leaf coming out, and it had a big leaf over its head, and it was like a big fluffy ball. It kind of looked like a you know, some sort of seed, like one of those seeds that's designed to like drift down on its own parachute. But they had a chocolate version of it, and you could only get the chocolate version by buying, I think it was $10 worth of Butterfingers, and I'm not that fond of Butterfingers, so I ended up buying a bunch of Butterfingers and just leaving them at my work because I was just, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, Butterfingers! I fucking love these!" And I was like, "Good, eat them." I would have just thrown them in the trash. So I played Lord of the Rings Online in its beta or form, and I did really enjoy it. But at the same time, I almost feel like, how to phrase this, I wasn't a big enough Lord of the Rings fan to really appreciate, you know, all the stuff that was in there, in my opinion, and just like, I was like, okay, you can be an elf and you can do stuff, and okay. And so I just didn't have that big of a, you know, connection to it. So I've read the Hobbit book. I've read part of the Fellowship of the Ring. But yeah, I liked the Lord of the Rings movies. I thought the Hobbit books, or the Hobbit book was great, but the Hobbit movies, plural, should not have been movies. Plural. So let's see here. You have all the DLC for the first 3 Sims games. Physically bought them off of thrift stores and eBay. And I know you had some like in Thai and like Chinese and stuff as well. You bought a $30 elk mount in Lord of the Rings, gave up on it. Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012 had a Dodge Charger as a free DLC if you bought a Slim Jim. Yeah, they do weird things like that. But as far as one thing that's kind of soured me on Final Fantasy XIV, like I really enjoyed Final Fantasy XIV, and I will say it's got one of the biggest LGBT communities I've ever seen in an MMO, and it's fantastic in that. But the issue I had with it was I was playing it very regularly, and admittedly the guild, or whatever they called a guild in that game, was filled with a lot of people who were a lot younger and had a lot more free time on their hands than me at the time. And so I was constantly feeling like I was behind. Like when I first started playing it, they had I don't know exactly what they'd released, but they definitely had Shadowbringers, and they had not yet released Endwalker. And so I was like, okay, let me try and catch up on this. And some of those people were able to play through those expansion packs in like 4 days. It was ridiculous. And yeah, it was just nuts how fast some of these people could go through it. And I couldn't. I just didn't have the time, energy, or will, and I had other shit to do, to be able to go through it that quickly. But I was like, okay, cool. I'm done with Heaven's Ward, and now I can move on to Stormblood. Stormblood. And they're like, oh, well, we're doing all the stuff in Shadowbringers. I'm like, okay, well, can you come and help me with the stuff in Stormblood? They're like, no, we're doing the stuff in Shadowbringers. We've already got all the crap from that. I was like, oh, okay. And then, so from there, I ended up getting to right where Shadowbringers starts. And I do own the expansion pack to let you actually play it. But my issue with it was that right around that time period, I got injured at my job at Best Buy. And it made it to where I legitimately could not stand up. I could not walk. I could barely get out of any sort of bed because I had a massive foot injury that was really, really, really bad. And I had to have surgery on it, and so I couldn't get to my computer. And because I couldn't get to my computer, it meant that I was unable to play it because I refused to pay for the PlayStation 4 version separately to be able to play it on, a computer. And I probably should have just used this, shitty remote, keyboard and played it on like a TV or something. But I didn't want to, because that game's got very complex controls, and using like a touchpad and this, or like trying to use a PlayStation 4 controller, it's not a great experience. So I just woke up the cat. So yeah, I couldn't play it. And so I had gotten the house. I had gotten into the guild. I'd done all the various raids, and they had this thing where if you didn't keep your house active, and what I mean by that is if you hadn't visited your house every, I think you had to do it every 30 days or more to keep it from disappearing. And it was hard to get a house. Like, people would wait like 12 hours to randomly get a chance for 1 second, literally 1 second, to be able to get into the ability to buy the house. It made it to where you couldn't. And from there, I lost the house, which was not that big of a deal to me because I wasn't able to play for like 4 months or so. And so I lost that house. But what got to me was that the stuff inside that house, some of it I had paid my time to, and some of it I had paid with real money on the shop. And from that stuff on the shop, I was like, all right, cool. I've got this stuff on the shop. of course I paid real money for it, I can just get you to reissue the item or, you know, whatever. Because I found out that once your house goes poof, all the stuff goes into basically a holder vendor, and that holder vendor will hold it for another, I think 30 days, or maybe it's 15. So you only really have 45 or maybe 60 days to pick up your stuff. And I was like, okay, it really sucks that I lost some of the like event items. You know, it sucks, but But, you know, let me go and get you to like reissue the stuff that I paid actual money for, that was decor items for the house. And they were like, nope, we can't reissue that. Nope. What do you want us to do? I'm like, well, I want you to either refund me for those items or issue me fresh ones, because they were lost in this house because I physically could not get on the game because I had been in the hospital and then, you know, had surgery and could not play the game, because most of the time I was either passing out from, you know, various recovery medications, or, you know, couldn't get out of bed, and, you know, it was just not feasible. I could not sit in a chair like this and put any weight on my leg. And so they just kind of gave me this like, well, you know, there's nothing we can do to help you. You're past the, you know, 60-day period. I go, well, I literally had medical circumstances where it was physically impossible for me to do this, and it was physically impossible for me to go visit the house. Even if I logged in for a minute, I couldn't. And so they're just like, well, sucks to be you. I was like, you fuckers. And so that was the thing that it just really kind of soured me on playing that, as much as I really enjoyed the game. So I might give it another chance, but I would be much less inclined to ever buy anything that costs actual money, and knowing that if I decide to take a break or can't play it, I'm screwed. Anyway, so once a specific number of life springs have been surveyed, the location of an especially powerful fiend will be revealed upon arrival. Hold the triangle to lure it out, but you cannot flee from this style of battle. Okay.
Cloud, you have arrived in the lair of the majestic Quetzalcoatl. Make certain you're prepared.
That is not how you pronounce that. It's not Coatl. It's Quetzalcoatl. It's not Coatl. But anyway. So yeah, I was very upset with how they handled that. And you're saying that the Lord of the Rings Online community was mostly Gen X males. Yeah, I experienced something similar to that when I tried to play Star Wars The Old Republic, because I am a massive fan of Star Wars stuff. And I was like, this is a damn good story. But, you know, I want to get into a guild that's, you know, LGBT friendly. And they were just like, well, why the fuck would you want, you know, a gay guild? And I'm like, I'm not necessarily saying I need a gay guild. I'm just saying one that, you know, will accept and treat you as a normal person if you happen to be gay, or happen to be trans, or happen to be bi, or happen to be, you know, any sort of thing in between, or non-binary. I just want acceptance, you know, and I want to make sure that I am in a place that's accepting of that. And they were just like, well, you know, like, you might want to go join the light side then. And I asked the same question on the light side chat, because it's like, oh, the dark side, you're Sith, you're evil, and blah, blah, blah. But no, the community in that was basically just like, why the fuck would you bring up that stuff? You know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whatever, guys. And despite liking the game itself, I ended up, you know, dropping that. So let's see if I've got my stuff ready. Now I should probably throw down some heals. Can I warp to this area? Warped over there. Okay. So let's see here. But yeah, I was not super happy with how it was handled in Final Fantasy XIV, and was definitely very upset with it in the other ones. I'm sorry, Final Fantasy XIV handled the medical aspect bad. You can fight this guy multiple times, and you need its drops for crafting. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just trying to heal through this stuff. In fact, since I can get that close, And there's that. I'm going to warp over. Where's a good spot? I can do it for free at the Chocobo Ranch. Where's the Chocobo Ranch? Card shop. Is this the Chocobo Ranch? Yeah, I can do it at the Chocobo Ranch. So I'm going to travel to the Chocobo Ranch, literally just to heal myself, and then travel right back.
It's important to make sure they've got plenty to eat. Need to be nice and plump so they fetch a high price.
But yeah, Final Fantasy XIV was definitely not very friendly to people who could not play the game at a constant rate, which was disappointing. Let's see. That's close enough. Teleport. So yeah. But overall, if I had... And yeah, thank you for coming in. Chicken Doodle. And I see the emote that you drew is being put to use. As well as the wavy version. So where do I go to bring it up? Right here, I'm assuming. Nope, those are just bushes. You have some others, okay. Oh, we got some rockin' boss music.
Let's get to it.
Confirmed. Pencil bottle identified. Commencing guidance protocols. Across this distracting word. The solitary pencil bottle is simply breathtaking.
OC needs to be the official stream mascot. I definitely could see that.
I got your number.
So let's see. Ice. Inflicting enough damage by exploiting elemental weakness will pressure it. Each time it moves between the air and the ground, it will unleash a powerful attack. Okay.
Reaching a period is a god. While it typically prefers to use to a time staff than this, it's been cited in varying communities in recent years.
Does anybody have Ice 2 yet?
Rocco's deleterious effects on talent have likely driven it to prey on livestock. Gaining more intel on it may help us discover ways in which it can coexist once more. The grasslands ecosystem is in your hands. Just know I'm cheering for you.
Ready? Lead the way. With me. Now, lead the way. Let's go.
Have you played 7 though, Zelda? You did play through 7. I'm sorry. What was the weakness of this thing?
Too bad.
It was ice. Okay.
Take the lead.
Okay, let's see. Does she have... Yeah, she's got the ice too. So you never finished Final Fantasy VII. So this game and its and the previous game in the series take place in a alternate but timeline or dimension or something. We haven't figured out what. Than the original Final Fantasy VII. However, they have acknowledged that both timelines seem to exist. Sephiroth definitely knows. Aerith definitely knows. And from that, it's definitely one of those things that we're trying to figure out why there is now two timelines and what the deal with that is. I'm sorry that I kind of get a little quiet during these battles. They do take a lot of concentration to not fuck up. Okay, so all you remember from Final Fantasy X is stay away from the summoner. So, my thing on 10 is a pretty good story. But 10, out of nowhere, has a ridiculous difficulty spike, somewhat fairly near the end that I could never beat.
Victory over that vicious creature was a feast for the eyes.
I suppose it falls to me to make Mai's presence more tolerable.
How do you...
No. We make Chadley's volume go down.
Now then, allow me to congratulate you
And we
on your
no. Go away, Chadley. Go away. We can mute you and we can have Mai.
You were likewise able to obtain something of great import, the beast's talent. I suspect that it can be used in the creation of something astounding.
Okay, so you've been brainstorming more concepts as they come. You haven't played anything after 10. You never finished 7. So with 10's got a pretty good story. But yeah, 10 has this thing where one of the later bosses, if you're not prepared for him, which also there's no way to really back out of the battle once you're there, it locks you into this battle that's on like an icy mountaintop. And anybody who's played 10 is probably like, I know where this is going. But in there, you're stuck on this icy mountaintop and you can't get back down. And the boss that's up there, who I won't spoil exactly who it is, does this thing where they will start the battle and they'll go like zombie on everybody and then cast full cure or full life or something, which is just an instant party kill. And so you have to cure the zombie, but he's constantly going like zombie life, whack, 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 zombie life, whack, whack, whack. And so what I've heard you have to do is get at least one person who has got the immune to zombie effect, and then he becomes a joke. But I've never gained that effect, and so I've always just been screwed when I get to this boss. And so I've been told that that boss is within 4 or 5 hours of the game's completion, but yeah, I've never beaten it. And you said you forgot you'd played a little bit of 13 because you got it for free on PlayStation 3. I have beaten Final Fantasy 13, but Final Fantasy 13, while a great game, you're like, okay, this is a really good story. It's building. It's awesome. Oh, sweet. They got us out of like the city where everything is, tight corridors and, linear paths. And now it's open and I can do whatever I want. I'm like, awesome. Ooh, here's a story beat. We have to, like, go do and beat this boss. Wait. The game's done? What? Game's done? No. How is that the final boss? No. That was like, felt like it was, a third of the way through the story. How is the game done? And, I was like, yeah, this feels like it's incomplete. Why is it end here? And then with Final Fantasy 13, they were released. They're like, yeah, Final Fantasy 13 was done on, like a budget where we couldn't afford to realize all our ideas, and so unfortunately it got a little trimmed, and there's a lot of stuff, and we've got probably a whole game's worth of ideas that had to be cut out due to time or budget, and so yeah, it's something that we might be able to come back to in the future. And I'm like, well, that sucks, but okay, maybe they'll come back to it. And from there, yeah, because they were just like, oh yeah, we have like a whole game's worth of extra content that we had to cut. So I was like, all right, sweet. Maybe someday we'll see, like a documentary or something that reveals that extra content. And then they announced Final Fantasy X-2. And I was just like, really, guys? You couldn't have just delayed this like a year or two and actually just put that content into the game instead of making an unnecessary sequel? What the hell? And I never played X-2. And then I heard X-2 ended on another cliffhanger. And I was like, well, okay, but, they're probably done this time. And then they announced Final Fantasy 13-3 Lightning Return. And I was just like, really, guys? Really? You're going to make not only a game that should have just been one game, you're going to act like you're done and then just release more? Screw you.
Also hurl rocks with tremendous force. And if that doesn't scare you, this variant is capable of spewing a toxin that transforms its quarry into a frog, its favorite snack. Whether this qualifies it as a true gourmet or merely a picky eater is still a matter of contention. Whatever the case may be.
Which you could say my comment I just made is incredibly hypocritical, because I'm playing Final Fantasy 7 Part 2, and Part 3 is not out yet. But the reason I don't see that as hypocritical or anything is the fact that Final Fantasy VII Remake was always listed as a incomplete Part 1 that was all about exploring the opening Midgar City. We always knew that it was not going to be the entire experience. And yeah, they were planning to do the whole game, but it might take 2 or 3 games. We knew that. And then before this game was finished, that I'm playing right now, we knew that this was part 2 of now a planned trilogy. So I had no problems with that, because they were very clear that these were going to be full, large, standalone things. Final Fantasy 13, they just acted like, well, shit, we ran out of money. But then, like, in a year or two, they were just like, psych, here's the actual information. And I was like, hey, you lame asses. Okay, how do I kill this thing? Final Fantasy 13 was the first Final Fantasy on an Xbox. You are correct. You are absolutely correct that it was the first one to be released officially on an Xbox, yes. And the hilarious part about that was Final Fantasy 13 was on one Blu-ray on PlayStation 3. But because of the fact that it used almost the whole Blu-ray, and a Blu-ray is 50 gigs, or 25 depending if it's 1 or 2 layer, Final Fantasy 13 came on 3 DVDs, or maybe it was 4, and on top of that it was lower resolution, it ran worse, and on top of that, all of the cutscenes, literally all of them that were done as real-time things in the PlayStation 3 version, because they did not have enough space to render all that stuff in real time and keep all those textures. They literally took FMVs of the PS3 version, compressed the crap out of them, and put them onto the 360. So yeah, the 360 version is absolutely the worst way to play that game, unless you're playing on an Xbox Series X, which apparently they actually went back and did like a 4K remaster. Lost Odyssey was on 4. I think there was 1 or 2 games on 5. I looked this up at one point.
It's on you.
Yeah, I forget what game it is, but there is some game that was on more than 4 discs for Xbox 360. I could not tell you what it is off the top of my head, though. Oh, come on, hair. Get out of my eye.
Congratulations! You managed to complete all Intel objectives.
Yeah, it was definitely a, thing where Final Fantasy 13 was a great game. Regardless of how you could play it, it just should have been a game.
That was
And
extraordinary
they did
display.
not. They kind of pulled the wool over our eyes by not telling us ahead of time.
In fact, we've already used it to produce a new combat trial. Check it out.
What? I see that Mai has already covered everything, which means I have nothing to add at this time.
Yes, there definitely needs to be a Giga Chadley. Okay, I need to fix something. Sorry. Ugh. Get out of my eye, hair. Get out of my eye. Okay. So what's left? We only have 2 things? 1 thing? Is there only 1? Yeah, there's only 1. Okay. Where is this? I actually had a Final Fantasy 13 faceplate that I got from GameStop because I was working there and it was the pre-order bonus and nobody pre-ordered it, so we had like 5 of them. So like just a bunch of the employees just took them home. I actually miss that, that the Xbox 360 original had the ability to switch the faceplate. I always thought that was super, super cool. But sadly, the Xbox 360 original was a very, very unreliable piece of hardware. And because of that, yeah, you didn't really want to keep it on there, and they quickly replaced it with the the S and then the E, both of which are superior consoles. And yes, I know there was versions of the S and E that had alternate colors and alternate looks, and some of them had an alternate noise when you beeped the console on with the power button. But unfortunately, it was just one of those things that there was not a way to change that easily.
Cloud! Upon analyzing the data from the LifeSpring, I was able to locate a new transmuter chip. It's among the refuse left over from the pipeline's construction.
Okay.
Though a touch far from your current location, It's a rather short chocobo ride.
Sure. All right, let's see here. I think that's the last thing we have in this area. Besides doing the story request, which is right up there, so I might as well. I'm going to teleport to right here. So yes, you love the 360's original design from a nostalgic standpoint, but you'll admit they are not reliable in the slightest. Yes. I do not know anybody, literally anybody, who has a Xbox 360 original that either they haven't had multiple of them, or the one they have has not had repairs, unless it's something where they just bought it, you know, new old stock recently, or they only used it to play, like, you know, one game and just didn't really have a whole lot of, you know, usage. But anybody who played their 360 a significant amount probably broke it. And the only reason I've never broke a 360 comes down to the fact that the only reason I even owned an Xbox 360 when it was brand new was because I bought a PlayStation 3 on launch day, and then there was games like Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon and Need for Speed Most Wanted and Mass Effect 1 and 2 and a couple others that were only on 360. And so I bought the 360 for the games that I could not play on my PlayStation 3. So I only had 8-9 games for the 360, where I had probably like 30 or 40 for the PlayStation 3. So yeah, that's the only reason that I never broke a 360. But and you're trying to collect all sorts of special editions, but there's quite a few and a large amount that you're missing. Do you happen to have the Yellow Simpsons one? Because the Yellow Simpsons one was probably one of the best looking ones. There was only 100 of those? I thought there was a lot more of them. Like, you know, I thought it was fairly mass made. So if you want ridiculously uncommon, you ever looked up the MTV GameCubes? So I actually had the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 one, and you know, you're probably like, hey, Vitamin She, you don't play shooters almost at all. And that's correct. I didn't play shooters. But the Modern Warfare 2 Xbox 360, first of all, was cool looking. And second, it was actually cheaper to buy the Xbox 360 Most Wanted, or I'm sorry, the Xbox 360 Modern Warfare Edition. Because it actually came with the biggest hard drive. Like, I don't think you could even buy the 250 gigabyte hard drive at first. And it came with 2 controllers for less than the price of a second controller. So it was one of those things that I was like, I do not care about Call of Duty whatsoever, but I will buy this limited edition. First of all, because it looks a little cool, but also that it was legitimately the cheapest way to get a big hard drive and a second controller. And yes, the MTV GameCubes, as far as I know, there was like 3 or 4 of them. There's 3 or 4 of the MTV GameCubes, and as far as I know, they were made as either 1 or 2 offs of each one. So there's literally like 1 to 3 of each of these GameCubes. And they were, as far as I know, all custom airbrushed. They were all just, I think they were all just black GameCubes that had paint jobs, basically. But it was one of those things that, you know, it would be cool to have one, but I think the likelihood is almost 0. Unless you're willing to drop tens of thousands on a GameCube, which I'm not. Did you ever see the Taco Bell edition Xbox 360 that I think was gold that you got from a contest? So, yeah, the Taco Bell edition, I think it was a slim. It was either a slim or an E. I can't remember which one. But when you pressed the little power button, it actually made the Taco Bell bong. I've used one in person. I've set one up because I did audio video install, and somebody had actually won it from the contest, and so they were just like, oh yeah, you know, this is the Xbox I have. Come on, let me defend. Were they Xbox Ones or were they Xbox?
Wow, just look at all of them.
I'm not sure if they were
I've
Xbox
never
Ones
seen
or
these things
Xbox
before.
360s that I saw. But if it was an Xbox One, then yeah.
So, know which ones to pick?
Yeah, I got this.
As much as I want to believe you, your face says otherwise. Good thing you've got me here.
Go, Aerith.
Sorta reminds me of when we picked flowers for the leaf house.
Yeah, this was a gold one. I think it was an Xbox One.
I just knew you'd go for the foxtails. I swear, I can read you like a book.
I like that it's breaking out the Aerith music.
That's a start, but we're definitely gonna need more. So cute and soft too. Perfect for a flower crown.
Yeah, I've also seen the gold PS4 Slim that I think was a
A
Taco
few
Bell
more
one.
couldn't hurt.
Okay, I can pick a blue flower.
Hey, that's a good find. Those symbolize familial love. Pretty spot on for our purposes, wouldn't you agree?
But I think you could just buy the gold PS4s later.
All right, that should probably be enough. Let's go give him to Chloe.
Okay, so let's see here. Where is she? I can travel to right there. That works. Yeah, the PS4 I had was the white Destiny one. Not the white one that had the pattern on it. The one that was just white. And also, again, I bought it because I wanted a white console that had nothing to do with Destiny.
Cloud, I'm pleased to see you've completed our survey of the grasslands.
It was still
I cannot
great,
thank you
though.
enough for the data you provided. It was as enriching as the lands here are fecund. Indeed, it has been a valuable learning experience. One I could have
I never had a
in
PS4
Midgar.
Pro.
I hope we can continue to study this world of ours together.
I didn't really see a need for me to buy a PS4 Pro. It didn't seem, at the time I didn't own a 4K TV, and so it didn't seem like it was really worth the extra money to me to buy a PS4 Pro. And I'm playing this on a normal PS5. I don't have a PS5 Slim, and don't see a reason to buy a PS5 Slim when I have a regular PS5. Let's see. You bought the PS4 Pro because you didn't own one, and it had the bigger hard drive. It was the same price as the launch PS4 when new. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what I paid for the PS4, but... Yeah, I would not buy a Slim. It's one of those things that if you don't already have one, you know, absolutely buy the Slim. But if you already own a regular one, I've heard that there's a very, 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 very slight difference in load times with the Slim. But we're talking about like 1 second, if that. So I've thought about, like, if I had a spot where I would play games and then, you know, a different area that was a little tighter that I needed the space for like streaming or something. Yeah, I would buy the Slim. And I'm saying, if you didn't already have the PS5, the Slim is absolutely the better console in my opinion to acquire. Does the same thing, slightly better. You know, better thermals, smaller. You can switch the disk drive if you want. So I don't see any reason why you wouldn't buy the Slim over the big one, unless you just didn't already have one. But there is zero reason to upgrade, because it's not that big of an upgrade. It's literally just a size change. It's not worth it. Yeah, there is not a point to buying a Slim unless you don't own a console.
Get him.
I think we're actually going to win this time. Okay, let's see. Spells. Gotta keep Tifa alive.